So we are here. We got a new time, as you can well see. We're not quite sure how many people are going to be coming in this afternoon because, well, everything was changing. So everybody's got to change up their schedules a little bit, but we're going to get everything all worked out. Just to let you guys know, we are not simulcasting right now on things, but at 6:30, or 6:30 Eastern time. Lovely friend Diamond is joining us. As soon as this show is over, we will be appearing on Things Network. So we are going to go on ahead, and Things is still supporting us. They're still really in tune with what we're doing and really loving our mission. I want to make an apology to everyone. And I get to do it actually on the show this time. The last couple of weeks, I have had a couple health issues, and we've been unable to go live. And this is hopefully in the past. Hopefully, it's in the past. I know on the 16th, I go in for a shoulder surgery, which I'm looking forward to, but I'm not looking forward to, but actually I'm really looking forward to it. So, but, and we've, this is just, we're looking to keep this building. We're looking to keep this going. I do want everybody to know that we did miss a huge opportunity last month because it was Suicide Awareness Month. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to keep doing what we do because we think that suicide awareness is every month. This isn't a month. This shouldn't be dedicated to just one month. This should be dedicated to a life. And I think that that's what we're going to do here. Personal request. I have launched our 6th annual Chili Cook-Off in Poker for Pediatrics. And this is something that I would love to see you, no matter where you're at, I'd love to see you copy this. What we're doing is we are taking and we are getting books put in pediatric hospitals, pediatric wards of normal hospitals, and the reason why we don't touch the children's hospitals is because everybody donates to the children's hospital. Okay. We support children's hospitals with all of our heart. We love them. We think that they're great. But you know what? The kids that aren't sick enough to go to the children's hospital, they deserve our attention too. So we're trying to put books into the hospitals, the pediatric wards all over. And what we're doing is we're asking people to please make a purchase of a book and sign it. What we do, and you'll recognize the name here, is we ask you to sign the inside cover. This one here is by our dear friend, the goddess of the grapes, Stephanie Samo. She purchased this book from us. And what we did is we wrote her family name inside. And then underneath it, we wrote the words, "To our little hero." And now the nurse is going to put a child's name inside this book and give this book to a kid who's in the hospital right now going through something that, look, let's be honest. I mean, Diamond, Dennis, and Steph, you guys all know when you're in the hospital, I don't care if it's for strep throat, for tonsillitis. It's scary, even for an adult. So for a kid, this is a way that we can prove that we care about them. So we do have books for sale. And I asked you to go to communitypayitforward.us, purchase some books. And if you would like to help us by sponsoring this this event, we would love to have you on there. So I guess we'll get started now. So we're going to go with ladies first. Stephanie, welcome back.
Thank you. Chili cook-off. Now you're making me hungry. It's
yeah,
6 o'clock
me
on the
too,
East Coast
actually.
here.
It's
Hi,
still
everybody.
80 degrees here, but you know what? Chili cook-offs. Look, I'm a chili dog guy. I really am. So, and I make a green chili, but we've had white chilies before. We've had vegetable chilies, and you've seen my little video, with beans, and then it's got the cowboy that sits there, and there ain't no beans in real chili. I don't know.
I love all the comfort food, and here in Pennsylvania, it's definitely gotten chilly in the mornings. So I'm leaning towards the crock pot meals and all the good cold food kind of stuff. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm so happy to be here. Stephanie Simoes. So if you're tuning in for the first time, I work with nonprofit organizations and people year-round to assist with fundraising through One Hope Wine. I specialize in fundraising, gifting, private wine events, and wine delivery. And what I love is that when you pour a glass of wine or send a gift through One Hope, it's such a great feeling to know that that bottle is making an impact for a nonprofit organization that's important to you. Zach and I run a monthly show highlighting smaller nonprofit organizations. We'll be live on our Community Pay It Forward One Hope fundraiser page on Facebook. That's a group that you can look up. You can also find it in my link tree. And what we do is we help fundraise for smaller nonprofit organizations, but more importantly, we help to get their mission out there to even more people. So definitely join us on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am the co-founder of PNS Improvements and PNS Properties. We are a family-run contracting company, mostly residential remodeling. And through PNS Properties, we are investing in real estate with a focus on veteran housing. Our newest project, and really exciting, is New Heights Homestead. We are traveling 580 miles with our family of 7 and our animals to build a mountaintop homestead from the ground up. So if you love animals, more natural living topics, growing food, and are more curious about homesteading, you can follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel and come on the journey with us. There will be lots of animals. I'm just giving you a heads up. Must love animals. So this is a really important mission to me. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you, Zach, for putting this together. I wear many hats. Feel free to connect with me through my link tree.
One of the other things that you guys are doing, Stephanie, is you guys are going to be mixing in veteran and the homeless veteran population. So this is, once again, it's just, it's one of the reasons why you and I connected in the first place. And, I'm so excited for you and your entire family on this next level. I know that your daughter's growing up before all of our eyes because, she's out there doing stuff and working with dad and doing a lot of things that, a lot of kids don't get to do nowadays. And even though YouTube apparently doesn't like it when you do it, but,
She's thrilled. She's actually going to be going next month for a little bit, and that's the flexibility we have with their schooling, is that she can work ahead and then be able to go and help hands-on and learn some life skills too. But yeah, if there's anybody watching out there that supports veterans and has some contacts that maybe in West Virginia area, I'd love to talk to you.
That sounds great. Newest member of our family, Diamond. How are you doing, sweetie?
Hi, Zach. I'm good. Hi, everyone. It's good to be together. I'm excited. I'm happy you're feeling a little bit better. Yeah. Who am I? I am Diamond Drip. I am a business resilience coach. And what that means is I get to work with entrepreneurs and coaches who they struggle from what I like to call what if brain. It's basically where you live in the future and you're so busy worrying about all of the bad things that could happen, it stops you from taking confident action in your business. And I help them overcome those mindset gaps and give them tools and resources to give them time freedom and financial freedom and any other kind of freedom. I like to say that I'm free from depression, and it's kind of been my mission to help as many people heal from that as possible. So through entrepreneurship is how I do that mainly, because that's kind of my jam. But I love talking about what psilocybin has done for me, and it's an absolute privilege to be here with you.
Well, and that's really how you were introduced to our program. Is that as was Dennis? You know, you were one of our guests, and you appreciated what we were trying to do, and so we greatly appreciate welcoming you to our show, and we love having you on here. Dennis, the man who started our need for hospitalization. I just supersized it because I decided to go twice in 1 week instead of just
I hear you.
How you doing, my friend?
I am doing better than well. As some of you know, I've been gone for several weeks from this program because I underwent a major surgical operation on my lower back on August 9th. It was an L4 to S1 decompression and fusion operation, and I was in hospital 4 days, and then basically been recuperating here at home. But I have to tell you that from my perspective here, that operation was extremely successful. I've been able to get up, walk around, do things without the pain that I had experienced for years prior to that. So, whether I'm ever able to return to running and hiking 10, 20 miles a day, which is what I used to be able to do and love to do, whether I'm ever able to do that again or not, I'm still happy with where I'm at now, because you never got to see it because I'm just sitting here in the chair when we're on this. But walking from here to the door was always a painful experience prior to this. So I'm very, very happy, very blessed to be here. For those who don't know me, those that are watching this episode, I am a retired Army officer. I am currently the founder of the Price of Freedom Foundation. It is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to telling the complete life stories of those who paid the ultimate price for our freedom, our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who died while serving in our nation's military, and that's both active duty and reservists, and all causes. So, we tend as a nation to honor those that died in combat, and I don't detract at all from any efforts that are made anywhere to honor our fallen. But this is what I know, and that is that Gold Star families as a whole, and that it means people who have lost someone in their immediate family while they were serving in the military, almost universally, a year to 2 years after their loved one has passed, has the feeling that their loved one has been forgotten and their sacrifice no longer honored. And that's even for those that have things in their community like streets or bridges or buildings named after them, because these things only tell people that person's name. And if you were to have somebody ask about yourself and say, well, if I tell somebody your name, will that be an adequate description of who you are? And I would say universally that is not. So what we do is, working with those families that want the service, we do a lot of research. We find as many people as possible that knew their loved one. We do in-depth interviews and ask for things that are going to be helpful in their in telling their loved one's story. We engage a writer to write a full biography on that person. We record all of those interactions that we've had so that eventually we can create video documentaries, and we give all finished products to the family at no cost to them, with the intent to distribute it beyond just the family, because we believe that by telling that story on an ongoing basis, we will be directly addressing that issue that I mentioned those Gold Star families have. So got our first book published, still trying to nail down the details for the presentation of that book to the family. Would love to have a corporate sponsor come on board that could help us with those costs. It's going to be in San Diego on the USS Midway Museum. So anybody that in the Southern California area that would be interested in having a conversation about that, would love to talk with them. But yeah, that's what I do. The reason I came on board with this is because I completely understand what it is to be very, very close to taking my own life, as I did at age 17, and then dealt with decades of depression and suicidal thinking before and throughout my time in the service, as well as for a couple of years afterwards. Thankfully, that thinking process has changed within me, so I no longer have that and haven't had those kind of thoughts for a long time. But this is something I know pretty intimately, and I think that we all need to talk more about it rather than less.
Well, I could not agree with you more. And Dennis, I think one of the things that you'll be excited to know, well, not excited, but it'll kind of touch home next week. We are going to be joined by a mother who did lose her son to suicide, and he was a veteran, and he ended up taking his own life. So it's not excitement was, of course, the wrong word to use there, but
Right.
it's something that she's going to. I think that she's going to appreciate the work that you guys do, because unlike a lot of the organizations out there, you guys celebrate the individual through all of their battles, not just through battles that are seen as positive ones, their service and everything.
Right.
And so we ended up meeting this lady through our dear friend, and Stephanie's going to know this name very well, through Bart at Veterans Honoring Veterans. And she's going to be joining us next week to talk about her son and her recovery. So I'm really excited about that. As you guys can see, scrolling on the bottom, in which I know it's very cumbersome, but I will put it in the chat so you can have it. It is the GoFundMe to help to help Dennis get this book out and make sure that they can do that. You can also support Dennis by going to communitypayupforward.us. He is a mission partner, so you can support Dennis by shopping with any of our wonderful partners. So, or of course, you can always buy wine from Stephanie.
That's right.
And when you do that, you can choose the Price of Freedom Foundation as the recipient. So always trying to find ways to give back. Now, proud to welcome back the man on the walkabout, Patrick.
Yeah.
How are you doing, brother?
Very blessed, man. Very, very blessed. It's been up in the mountains for quite a while now, and it's been a very surreal experience. I was getting kind of tired, just a lot of service and stuff like that, and sometimes you just gotta go and take a sabbatical, get renewed. And so now I'm just playing to catch up with all the things that I've left behind a month ago. So now I'm catching up on all that stuff. So, but it's been great, man. It's been great. Missed you guys.
Well, we have definitely missed not only you, but we missed everyone. This show has quickly, we're on number 21 as of today, and missing the 2 weeks that we missed was just, it made for a very, very long 2 weeks, and very it was a seriously, and I talk to Stephanie quite often, And you can, it was a pain in my soul that we did not have this show, getting the gang back together, even though the full gang's not here. Our other family had some other obligations, but we will be building this back to normal. Patrick, why don't you give us a little bit of an idea on what you got going on?
Oh man, so a Call Edge Global, that's the company that I've founded. I would like to change like saying it's a company I founded, but it's more of an organism of how people can work together to accomplish the visions and the goals that they want to do. And so um, one of the things that I'm doing right now is the youth initiative, and the teens now have changed it to the roots officially. This is what they want to call it because they're getting the roots and the foundations of who they are going to become. And so they changed the name. We got a whole new little drawing that they made, so it's pretty cool. Um, but a little bit of an update on that. Um, the kids are wanting to actually come on and do a segment, do a show, talk about what we're doing. Um, to this, the last 2 weeks, we've talked about how to write your vision, how to do uh, your mind mapping. So how do you take a vision or the things that you're thinking about, put it all onto paper, uh, make cohesive segments of that, so you can actually see how your dreams unfold, right? Because there's a lot of times we dream and think of a lot of things, but how do we put that in order so we can accomplish it in this reality? Because um, one of the things that one of the verses that we go over is faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And everything that has ever been on this planet is an unseen idea. It came out of something that we couldn't see. But then, like, you know, there's this thing that happens where everything that you have around you is something that was somebody's idea first. Every single thing that you have, down to the clothes that you're wearing, was an idea that somebody that pulled out of the imagination. And so teaching them like how to take that faith and that hope of the things that you cannot see and turn it into actual actions. Um, and then um, one of the other things that I'm doing right now also is the Pit podcast. That's a men's ministry where we just talk about the real things that guys are struggling with and going through, and we try to give you we talk about maybe how the world sees things, and then how the word of God sees things, and then you just make your choice on that. It's not nothing that we're trying to shove down your throat. It's just, hey, here's a choice and an option um, with the one that's made you, and point men in that direction. No apologies whatsoever, and then I just connect people together, resources together, because I believe that light, like heavy work, or wait, what's the word? I'm trying to think of it. Um, Many hands make light work. There we go. That's what I'm thinking of. Many hands make light work. And so we can do so much more together by supporting each other with our money, resources, and intellects than we can do alone. And so I would like building platforms to have a worldwide impact with that vision in mind.
That sounds so
And
good.
seen.
Yeah.
And seen. Look,
Hey, Patrick, have you met our sister Diamond?
I have not, but I have heard all kind of great things about you. So I feel like I mean, text messages, emails, a couple of things here and there, and then I have watched y'all's events and stuff like that. So I
Well,
feel
I'm
like
going to
I've
tell you,
met you.
I'm going to tell you, I think that you jumping on look, if there's ever been anybody who's so energetic and compassionate about your business, it's this woman. I mean, being in one of her programs that she leads is so fun. It really is, because she cares so much about everybody else. She's a perfect fit to what we're doing here, because this is a huge, huge group of people who really does care. Okay. I mean, this isn't one of the things that I respect about every single one of you guys. Okay. Is that we're not on this show trying to make our bones by glossing over someone else. Okay. What we're here to do is actually uplift people. And one of the things that I wanted to do today is, guys, I don't want to get too political in this. Okay. I'm not going to rail for one side or the other, but I would like to hear from each and every one of you. What in your mind is one of the things that is really, really causing the problems of today? Because I know in my mind, and I'll just give you an example, the divisiveness that's being pushed on us by everyone right now. I think it is so hard because you feel like you're being put in a place where, you know what, you got to be one side or the other, but you don't really want to be on either side, you know? But I mean, there's so much divisiveness right now where you want to belong, you want to fit in. Yet let's be honest, there's a lot of chaos and there's a lot of insanity out there. What can we do? And just let's try to keep these as brief as we can, but let's go through each person's suggestion and maybe we can each offer a thought on how we can work through that. And maybe help people get who are thinking this way, maybe help them get through it. But how can we maybe navigate through some of these problems that we see in this divisive world? What is something in your mind, Patrick, we'll start with you. What is something that we can do to help us make an educated and powerful decision for ourselves?
Well, thanks for tossing a hot potato with a grenade in it, brother.
Welcome back,
Here you
buddy.
go, buddy.
much love. Here you go.
Oh man, you guys know where I stand with certain things, man. Lord, give me courage to say the things that you want me to say. It says something in the word, man. It says something. It says, God is not the author of confusion. And the thing is that He's not. We like to confuse a lot of things, but that's the greatest tool that, if whether you believe in the devil or not, that's the greatest tool the devil ever has used. It's divisiveness and confusion. And I mean, everything in this world is confusion right now. Like everything that used to be wrong is right. Everything that is right is wrong. And and then you can't have a conversation about it. Like this right now, if you're going to really actually really have a conversation about this, it's going to cost all of us something. That's
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah.
That is the God's honest truth. It's going to cost us something. Like you have a possibility of getting canceled. You have a possibility of all these different types of things.
Losing friends.
Yeah, I'm in that, like, I'm actually going through that right now of I wouldn't say, all right. So it's this thing where when I went up to that mountain, the one thing that I came back with was you have to speak the truth and not apologize for it. You have to have that. This is what I'm sending you out to do. And the main thing was you have to count the cost. You have to count the cost. And I believe that people would rather believe the truth rather than the lie right now. I mean, people would rather believe the lie rather than the truth. Um, because I mean, right, we're living in a world right now we can look at people with our own physical eyes, and then we can't actually say, we can't say a spade is a spade. You know what I mean? We can't say that, and like, without risk of being canceled. There's something inherently wrong with this. There, like, you can't have actual belief in thoughts in whatever it is that you believe in. This is not a Christian thing. This is just a across the board thing. Like, you cannot even have thought of that goes against what society actually wants you to think, which is putting you in a box. Like, for me to say this right now, like, that's like getting out of the daggone matrix, and they're gonna come for you. That's just the way it is right now. And so if you don't agree, or the thing is that, like, where it really talks about facts before feelings, we feel more of our emotions as to what is happening around us. So, like, we can't even care for people properly. There's a lot of things that's going on with these teenagers, man, and these kids and people around me, man, they're dying. They're more depressed than I've ever seen in my entire 42 years of living. I have never seen so many people just depressed, wanting to kill themselves, wanting to die, not knowing what way is up or down, afraid to even express that because what that might actually come with that. And and telling them the truth, the actual truth can get you canceled. And so, teachers can't actually teach correctly no more. You have um, parents. Parents can't even be involved in their kids' lives like they're supposed to anymore. Like,
Or they
this is
have to teach
ridiculous.
insane things.
Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
so some, yeah, and we've almost went back to the pitchfork, fire brigades where people storm a castle holding a pitchfork and a torch. So, I mean, I completely agree with you. Rita Hirsch chimed in with, I have decided to do what I believe and to let others have their thoughts. I no longer need to take a side to feel acceptable. That's probably the best way to do it. Be kind to each other and not always have to be right. Beautiful sentiments, Rita. That is a beautiful, beautiful way to put it. But yeah, and you know, Patrick, that's one of the reasons why our conversation about are we putting too much on kids. I think that you're leading right into this again. So, Diamond, you wanted to volunteer, and of course, I catch you mid stretch, but you wanted to volunteer. So, what's your answer to this?
Yeah, for sure. It kind of plays on something that like I've touched on before, and I'll use the same example because repetition is the king of learning. But I feel like a lot of us need to step out of our ego and into empathy. And yes, that is 100% a mantra from my mushroom brain. I use the example of 495, which is like the major highway closest to me. It never seems to fail that whenever there's traffic or like accidents or like some huge cluster of congestion, when I end up passing it, it's because like a lane has ended, so you have to like merge over, or because someone's coming off of the exit and people have to yield. These are things that force you to kind of like be nice and get out of your ego a little bit so that we can all get where we're going. But it doesn't happen because it's so much like, I got to get where I'm going. Like, no, if I let this person in, I'm going to be what, like 2 minutes later? Like, really? And so that is like a basic example, but it applies to so many more things, even when you're talking about decisiveness. Why do I have to believe what you believe? Why can't we just have a belief that there is, like, for the big one, religion, right? Why can't we all have a belief that there's a higher power or that there's something bigger than us? Doesn't even have to be like someone like puppeteering or whatever. Like it can just be that we are specks in the universe and the universe is bigger than us. But we're like, no, because that's not what I believe. And you have to believe what I believe if we're all going to get along. Like, no, we're different. We're human beings. We have fingerprints and our ears are identified. Like, we're different for a reason.
Yeah, lovely. Dennis?
Okay, well, I honestly believe that you asked the question of what we can do. Okay, there's a whole, I read recently, probably the last 3 or 4 months, a treatise that somebody put together talking about why we are in a society that seems so divisive, and it has lots to do with the tribalism that is sort of in our DNA, and the fact that groups that have a interest in getting support tie into things that are divisive so that they can be distinguished from the other group. So politics is the perfect example of that. You know, every political party needs to distinguish themselves, and therefore they must find things that divide us and make us different from, you know, the other party or parties, depending upon where you're at and how many you want to be thinking about. But I think that what we can do is what I have witnessed Patrick do on many occasions, and what I try to do, and I don't do as well as he does. And that is that on an individual basis, that when you meet somebody and you meet somebody new, you'd look for the things that are unique about that person, and you engage with them as an individual, and you show them honor and dignity and respect, and you ask questions, you listen to what they have to say, you give your what your response is, and that builds a bridge, and that builds the bridges regardless of the other things that differentiate us. And so I think, I don't know, I don't have the answers for our society. I think just being aware as an individual that these groups and organizations have vested interests in having us be divided helps us to be aware of that, and be aware that, just when you talk to an individual, you meet somebody new, you talk to people that that you grew up with or whatever, that there's really a heck of a lot more that we have in common than we have that divides us.
I love it. I never let fear interfere in their hand or having a conversation with them. I always tell people all the time that I'm that guy that'll take and throw a box of donuts, a couple candy bars and stuff on the little rotator at the grocery store, and see somebody's having kind of a rough day, and I'll take and go, oh wait, and I'll turn around and I'll grab my Diet Pepsi and tell them, well, I got to watch my girlish figure while I got all these, it's kind of one of those things that I enjoy doing that. Stephanie?
So what kind of came to mind for me as you were bringing this up, and loaded bomb, like Patrick said, holy moly, is fear. I feel like everywhere you look, there's this influence through fear. And I personally, I don't like to make decisions out of fear. I like to make decisions out of, preparedness, out of what I believe is best for my family. I'm personally doing things for my family that I feel, and I'm like unapologetic about, for their health, for all of that, for my kids. And you guys kind of know me personally, so you kind of understand that. But I feel like what we can do really is stay away from the media and those things that aren't making us feel really good. Like, lean more into the things that make you feel good, that you align with, and kind of to piggyback on what Dennis said, be open to supporting others around you in a positive way. And just know that people are really struggling right now. I mean, if you scroll through, even local pages, maybe in your communities and stuff, and you see the topics and what's being posted, people are really having a hard time. So I think, and Diamond brought this up with, caring a little bit more about your neighbor and realize people are struggling, and look to find ways to connect instead of disconnect. But yeah, I'm not okay with the whole fear thing. So I personally don't like to turn on the TV, and I try to scroll away from that stuff, because they're hitting you from all angles, guys. It's not just the TV, because if you're not on the TV, you're on social media somewhere. If you're not there, you're here, and they're hitting you everywhere. So if it doesn't make you feel good, don't do it.
Yeah, and it seems more and more like, you got one side that will tell you that one thing is the bane of all existence, when the other side is going to sit there and say, it's the greatest thing, since turkey dinners. Patrick, you also wanted to throw love out there, so I appreciate that. Who would like to bring up another problem that you see facing the world?
I would like to actually piggyback off of all this. Actually, one of the greatest things that I've learned since I took my life, right, was what is the absolute most important thing in creation right now? What is the most important thing? And right now in this room, and anybody that's watching this, it's everybody that's looking at the camera and looking at each other right now. That is the most important thing. Right now, this moment can never be ever. It can never happen again. Right? It can never happen again. And the thing is that we walk by people and we see people all the time. And
You lost.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah,
can hear
we
you
got your back.
Oh, okay. One of the when it comes to this whole thing, we have lost the ability to look at somebody and truly love them, because we're so preoccupied with ourselves, which is what has happened with social media. And if you look at everything is a very selfish nature. Everybody is. Men and women cannot have proper relationships anymore because of this thing about how I need to feel. Well, what about, if we're serving each other, right? Like, there's this thing that happens to a human being when you're not looking at yourself, but you're looking at the people around you. You're looking at the people, the impact that you're having in every single moment of every single day of the people around you. Right now, every word that I say, everything that I do has an impact. And this very moment on each and every single person right now that's going to be in my vicinity, that's going to hear anything that I have to say right now, or that I'm around. And so, what do I do with that moment? How do I actually show love in that, in this moment in particular? And um and that's how, and that's what I see that people are starving for more than anything. All the people that I talk to, I talked to a young lady. What's today? Today's Sunday, Friday, I believe. I think it was. And I was just talking to her, and because I was pumping gas, and I'm just looking at this lady, and she just looks defeated, man. She looks like so defeated, and I'm just like, man, like, I could have gotten in my car and just left at that moment. But then in that moment, just stop and look at her. Yeah, man, you don't. How are you doing today? She was like, what? I was like, how are you doing today? She's like, I'm fine. I was like, that's some bull crap. How are you actually doing? You know what I mean? Like, as a human being, how you doing? And she just like, you could just see that like nobody's really ever like really, she's not used to somebody even caring about that. And of course, all this stuff starts coming out. And I was just like, hey, can I just, I'd say, I was like, God loves you. I said, but, outside of that, as human being, I love you. And can you see that I mean that? Look at straight eyes. Can you see that I mean that? And that moment of connection that we have lost. We have lost it with our families. We have lost it with our communities. Um, and if we really just started looking at each other as same way that we see ourselves, the way that we want to be loved, the way that we want to be, whatever, if we really actually did that, there's this verse. It says, "With perfect love casteth out fear, because fear bringeth about punishment, and there is no punishment in love." And so, when you truly start to love with the way I believe that we were created to love, right? The way that we are made to actually love. When you really start tapping into that, that's a game changer on a whole nother level, because now it's just not about just what my belief is. It's about how who I am and what I'm doing, and even what my beliefs are affecting you as a person. And that causes me to stop and actually listen. That causes me to stop and not to respond, not to just make my point, not to be whatever, but to actually hear your heart. That actually lets me be able to, like, even if we don't agree, to be like, I love you, and man, I find so much value in what you said. So I think love is, it sounds cheesy, but it's actually the most powerful thing. I've seen it actually change in the
I,
middle of the woods.
I completely agree with you, and I think in our society we combine love and sex too much, way too
Yeah.
much, and so I mean I think the whole idea of I think in practical steps for me, what I've learned over the course of my lifetime is that loving another person means I'm thinking about what's in that person's best interest in the situation and not my own. And I mean, as a young man, I confess I strayed from my marital vows on way too many occasions. But when I made that change in how I thought about people and how I thought about that person who was not my wife, that I was, wherever we were in work situations or whatever social situations, and I started to think what is in that person's best interest, then my selfish desires basically went away, because being involved with a married man was not in that person's best interest. And therefore, the relationship went in a much better way and better for everybody, because I was thinking not just about my desires, not those, but what was in that person's best interest. And I look at that too in all kinds of other situations that didn't have sex involved in it at all. When I'm talking to people in a business situation, when I'm when I'm talking to these families that we're trying to help, that's always the first question that I ask myself is, how can I serve that person's? What's in their best interest in this interaction, in this relationship? And I think on a practical level, that is a way to approach showing love.
Yeah, and Diamond, that should be the first question we ask anyway, isn't it? I mean, okay, I am talking to this person. What do I need to do for them? Shouldn't that be the first question? I mean, shouldn't that be the way that we come at this anyway?
Absolutely. I'm in total agreement. But unfortunately, egos, our own thoughts, fears, all of that gets in the way.
Is it a fear of disappointing, maybe a family tradition or a family makeup. And let me ask you, Stephanie, this is, look, we're all raised the way that we were. Okay. I mean, do we have a lot of us and let's be honest here. I mean, I'm not trying to play ageism or anything here, but we're adults now. We should be far enough away from the way that we were raised to where we've made our own decisions on this. But do we still have that in the back of our mind that, oh my God, if I go like this, that's not the way I was raised? Stephanie? If that made any damn sense, but I mean, hey, if not, you guys can just say, look, the guy's been in the hospital a couple times. He's got an excuse for the wackiness.
No, I personally like to, kind of take responsibility for what I'm doing. And that kind of reminds me of some situations where, people will say, well, I do this because of this happening to me. Right. And they'll talk about something that was 20 years ago. I'm like, huh? Like, of course, with certain things, the way I was raised and certain traditions and things that, that I love, I want to carry on with my family and my kids. But there are certain things that I think the mold needs to be broken and you need to like move on, like detach, move on, create a new system, a new tradition, a new something. I guess it depends on what you're talking about, Zach, because
and life gives us that opportunity that we get to take in, and what maybe what we didn't agree with, and this is one of the reasons why I love small business, is that a lot of us are in small business or in nonprofits. We're in this because we saw something that someone was doing, the boss was doing. We see something that they were doing that we can do better. Well, we can do that with our parents too. And we can kind of shift that and say, you know what? My parents did this. Love my parents. Okay. Love my parents. Wouldn't want any other parents in the world. But I think I'm going to do this with my kids. I think that we're going to do this with them. Guarantee you, our kids are going to sit there and go, you know what? Love my dad, that wackadoo guy, but I'm going to do something a little bit different.
I mean, also the world is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we need to pivot with today, with the change with technology. I mean, before we came on air, Zach, Dennis, and I were kind of talking about technology a little bit, and you guys shared some things about rotary phones, and I said my daughter doesn't even know what a dial tone is with dial-up internet, like that noise. She doesn't even know what that is, and we were laughing. So I think part of it is kind of pivoting with the times, right, to move forward. But I think some of it also is just taking responsibility for the changes that you are making. I personally don't want to be the person to say, well, my life is like this because ... I'm making changes in my life because I want this, like spin it in a positive way. And I think mindset is a huge thing today. I think a lot of people need to look inward a little bit in order to perform better outward. But you're right, with small business, but also we're in the business of helping people. And I think kind of what's been echoed here is like, when you're helping others more, you're just serving better. So piggybacking what Dennis said, how can I help you? That's what you need to do with your work, with your life, and everything to kind of excel, I think.
Yeah, and Diamond, one with what everybody was just talking about, our last guest, Molly. Her message was tremendous on how she took something that you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. She took that and she's turning it around to help support other people. She can't not go through what she went through. It's done. Life has happened. You've made mistakes in your life. You can't go back and change them. Okay. I think one of the other things that we need to change a lot of times is that word itself, mistakes. No, we made a decision. We've made a bad decision. We need to live with that and build from it. We need to try to not make decisions that are going to negatively affect other people, but start building other people. But yeah, Diamond, Molly, I mean, that story haunted me. It haunted me, but then again, it also made me smile because she took a story that the 20 episodes, guys and gals of this show that we've done, that was the one that you sat there and we went through something. It's like, oh my God, you've got one survivor who is doing some fantastic things and one who just couldn't handle it. And that's what we're trying to do. But tell me, Diamond, since that show, have you, what has been your personal experience since that show?
Wow. Life has been lifing since that show. So
Yeah.
it hasn't been at the forefront. However, I remember, even as you're recalling certain things, like we literally went through a journey with Holly during that episode. And it was one of those things where, because I could relate, I saw such strength in her, especially when you looked at the alternative. And it just, especially when there's so much talk of like women's health issues, like it just kind of opened my eyes to like more things than just like business, I guess, because my brain kind of lives in this business bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And I like my bubble, but every now and then it behooves me to step outside of it and think about things like that so that I can connect on a deeper level past just the surface level of like small talk business.
Well, I didn't intend to have the one topic take up the entire hour, but Stephanie, I know that you've got to be taking off real quick. So why don't we go on ahead and can you please give us your final word? Give us anything that you would like to say until next week.
Ooh. I think
other than join us on Wednesday night for the Aziza project.
Yes, definitely join us for our live 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But gosh, I think we need to think before we react, and you know, I think that's kind of how I could sum up this whole conversation is think before you react, be a little bit kinder. I think it would make just the whole world a nicer place.
And maybe not overreact.
And not overreact. Yeah. I don't think everybody's out there to get somebody, but I think that there are definitely a lot of influences out there that are, and pressures that are really, really tough right now. So everybody touched on really good topics tonight. I would just lean into that, lean into what feels good. And I lost it. I don't know. There was something else, but I lost it. So I'll leave you with that.
Well, you can always bring it back up next week. Hey, Stephanie, did you guys get any of that weather that New York City got hit with?
Not as bad. No, it did rain steadily and pretty heavy for a few days here, and luckily we're in a situation where we're up on the mountain, so we didn't have any issues here. But we did get days of rain where I was like, wow, it's just not stopping. My poor dogs didn't want to go outside. I know I'm saying my poor dogs, and you know, other people are in a way worse situation, but thankfully, we did not, and we didn't have any issues here.
Well, I know I contacted Mr. Z. I reached out to him because he is in New York and he is doing fine. He was just occupied. So, okay. Well, Stephanie, I know that you've got a hard stop, so thank you. Dennis, would you like to leave us with any words
Sure.
of wisdom?
Well, closing thoughts for me would be really think more about others and have faith that you are going to be okay. I know that last part is what I didn't have for a long period in my life, but it's what enables me to be able to step outside of myself and do things for others that otherwise I wouldn't have done for myself. And I think when we're talking about the idea of suicide and the thoughts that I had when I was contemplating suicide, I was never in a place where I had faith that I was going to be okay. Not once, ever. And so that's a topic for a whole other conversation. But if we could combine those two thoughts, think more about others and have faith that I am going to be okay, that's what I'd like to leave with.
Well, and the great thing is that we're going to have many, many other conversations. Yes. And now, due to our wonderful time change, we're going to have a lot of other people who can join us and have this conversation. Thank you, Dennis, and continue your recovery. I hope that you continue to get better, and thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. It's always an honor.
Diamond, your last words. For this show, of course.
Yeah. I just want to remind everyone to step out of your ego and into empathy. It'll make the world a better place.
That's beautiful. Hey, Diamond, I know that you're taking a little bit of time off, but you have a big event coming up here pretty soon. That you want to tell people about it, or?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yes, the name of the event is called 3 Keys to Ignite Your Confidence, Impact, and Income. It's a 2-hour interactive workshop from 4 to 6 on October 19th. And that's 4 to 6 Eastern time. I always forget. But it's going to be a really great event. We're going to work on what I deem to be one of the biggest things that holds entrepreneurs back from reaching that next level. And it has to do with your mindset, and it has to do with that green thing we call money.
I've heard of that stuff. So, well, Diamond, I want to thank you for joining the family, and I want to thank you for I love having you here, and I think you're a great addition to what we're doing. So hope to see you as many Mondays as we can get you. So,
Heck yeah.
Patrick, brother.
First of all, Diamond, I'm just now looking at your full name, Diamond Drip over here. Love it. It's so dope. It really is. And I'm glad to have finally been able to meet you and stuff like that. So, I think what I would like to leave with is love and personal accountability. Like we've really lost personal accountability in the world right now, where it's always someone else's fault. It's always this force and made me do this thing. It's very hard for us to say, take a hard look at ourselves and say, am I part of the issue? My sister over here keeps saying, ego and empathy. Our egos keep us from going, I'm actually contributing to the problem. I contribute to the problem all the time because of ego. You know what I mean? Like we can talk all this stuff, but then sometimes are we stopping and taking a good deep breath, looking in the mirror and be like, what is it that I'm actually contributing or not contributing to what it is that I'm seeing? and then course correcting from that accountability. Because a lot of times you can take accountability but still not course correct. That takes courage. That takes a what I would like to do is actually not. I would like to say this in a way where this doesn't condemn anybody. What I would like to be like more is, um, it's okay to have the courage to change your things, the things that you find that you're accountable for, and because once you do that, the growth and the impact that can have on the people around you is astronomical because you chose to look and see, maybe the way I am saying things are wrong. Maybe the way that I am treating people. Maybe the way that I am viewing this. I'm viewing this without understanding. One of the things that I have learned that like I could be right in something, right? I really could be right in what I'm thinking. But then like if we're looking at the whole of the universe and everything that is in it, how much do we actually really know? So how right can we actually really be? There's certain things that are truth and right, right? But then there's other things where you can just take a step back and listen more because it's more important sometimes to have understanding than this to be right when it comes to human relationships. You know, if I'm just right, but I'm hurting you, then then maybe having a little bit more understanding and I can still feel the way I feel or think the way I think, but that doesn't mean that there has to be any harm that's done to you. And I think that's where things are at right now, where if we could do better in that, take accountability for that part of who we are.
I I couldn't I really couldn't agree anymore. Thank you, Diamond. I'll talk to you soon. I just want to say that you know what, guys, look here, exactly what Patrick and everybody was just saying. Okay, look, here's the way it is. If you're in a situation and if your decision is good for you and bad for no one else, it's not a good decision. That's just the way it is. Okay, it's a selfish decision. And let's be honest here. If it looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's not a chicken.
Right, exactly.
We need to start using our heads. We need to start making better decisions. And we need to make sure that our decisions are there in support of other people. Because the people that we're leaving out, we may not agree with their lifestyle. Okay? We may not agree with what they've done in the past. We may not agree what they're looking to do in the future. We can still support them. We can still be there to help guide them and make sure that they are strong and healthy. A loss of a life is a loss of a human being. Someone who goes off the rails. Look, right now, people aren't going off the rails alone. They're taking people with them. We need to make sure that we're taking care of everyone. Again, if your decision is good for you and bad for everyone else, maybe you need to rethink that decision. Hey, I want to thank Stephanie. I want to thank Diamond. I want to thank you, Dennis. I want to thank you, Patrick. It's great to be back. We have missed you guys the last 2 weeks. I promise we're getting this back rolling. Just look at it. We needed a 2-week vacation.
That's fine.
Something like
And
that.
you need
Probably
to
did,
take
man.
care of yourself too. Man.
Yeah, you probably did, man.
You got to take care of your health too, my friend.
You
And,
know,
no apologies for that. None.
Yeah, it truly was, man. It was a hard thing for me to deal with not being here for those 2 weeks. Last month was such an important month, but when I started thinking about it, guys, I mean, it's true. Why am I putting so much emphasis on a suicide awareness month when that's what we're trying to do every week?
Right.
We're trying to make sure that we're putting this on and supporting everybody every week. So
Right.
that's actually kind of making it a little bit easier, quite a bit easier. So,
Well, this, in my opinion, this is really the first step in a long journey. And I'm always thinking of folks to refer here. I still have a couple more I need to send you email introductions to, because I think I've got a couple more guests that I think would be awesome. But
well, that's going to be great. We're really working on. I can't wait until we get hooked up with Patrick and these kids. I think that's going to be.
mhm.
I'm, and all honesty, I'm that guy. I love my kids. Yours not so much. But the truth is that every kid deserves a chance,
Right.
and if we don't give a kid a chance, we're taking away their future. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what these kids, what they're wanting to do. But
I got the
next,
opportunity to meet them a couple of weeks ago. They were awesome. You're
yeah,
welcome.
you were telling us about that. So, and I'm really looking forward to our guest next week and talking about. Working through her loss of her son after he served the country and took his own life. So I think that we are back. We do appreciate the working with us on the new time slot, and just please remember to love somebody out there, because there are us out here who love you back. So please, if you have problems, go back through, watch this show. Go on to the Footprints Forward page on communitypayupforward.us. All of our contact information's on there. Reach out to any of us. One of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to make this show to where there are enough of us out there to where you can reach out and find somebody who you think may work with you best. Because look, the truth is what might work for me is not going to work for you, but what works for Patrick's going to work perfect for you, and that's what we need to do. So for the Footprints Forward family, I want to thank you all very much for joining us, and we will see you next week when we bring you another story that will hopefully lead to happiness through the terrible fact that people do unfortunately take their lives, but hopefully we can find a way to save a life because of somebody else's sacrifice. That was a terrible way to end that, but the thought was there, but then that shiny squirrel ran right past me, and so hey guys, stick around for just a second. I'd love to say talk to you guys, but to everybody else out there, thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks. Bye.